Hello again, everybody. Happy Wednesday, and it's Wellness Wednesday with our beautiful Brice. How are you, lovely?
I'm good. I'm just always so excited to film with you, Shanti, because I'm sad Mornay's not here, but he's with us in spirit. But you are truly become one of my good, closest friends on this journey. And it's so awesome to be able just to spend time with you and chit chat.
I love it as well, I have to tell you. It's really, really cool. And I love the fact that we have so many similarities in our lives, actually. It really is cool even your little Buddha face statue there, I have one right over there looking at me. mine's metal. Yours is that a glass one, right? It's glass?
It's like porcelain. Yeah, I have so porcelain. Many of them. He keeps me in check because I can see him in the camera, so he's like watching me, make sure I'm practicing what I'm preaching, keeping that integrity.
I definitely think the next time I'm going to put mine over here as well. But before we go ahead with our lovely stuff today, there's actually just two things. There's two things I would like to talk about with our viewers. The first one is our SunKidz facilitator training. So if there is any one of our viewers out there who's still interested in doing our SunKidz facilitator training, please do. For many of you, I think you probably all know, I've written a book, my Gaia handbook for tomorrow's leaders, healers, and teachers. Mornay has done the graphics and the artwork, which is really beautiful. It's available on Amazon. And it really is information that every teacher, every parent, every child, every grandparent in this new earth that we're entering into should absolutely know about. So what we've done over the initial stages of lockdown was turn it into a workbook. So it's now a teacher's manual and a student's manual as well. We just finished the first run of facilitated training, which I did. It's 16 weeks, and now we have the recordings, and we're starting now with the next set of facilitated training, but it's done via the recordings. So there'll be recordings once a week you listen to, assignments, and then every second week you get to do a one-on-one with me as well. So that's happening. So anyone who would still like to do that, I think we do still have a few spots available. I'm only taking 12 people. I can only take 12 people in a group, because that means, for the accredited version, that is. There is a personal use version that you can do, but then you don't get the facilitators accreditation, where you can actually go out and teach the work to groups and stuff like that. You just use it for your own home personal use. If you've got your own kiddies there, whatever, that's absolutely fine. But that would also mean you then have one-on-one sessions with me every second week as well. And that's the thing that limits me. So I like to really, for me as well, anyone who's done this work knows I can get pretty anal about it, because the facilitators that we put out there have got to be top notch, in my opinion. And I'm going to do whatever I can in my power to make sure that is happening. So for any of you who'd be interested in doing that, I know Morna is going to put links and stuff and little ad going in here somewhere.
Literally life-changing. But I must say, for me, it's like the most amazing transformation.
One amazing journey of rediscovering, not self-discovering, rediscovering myself. Yeah, it is just beautiful, very enlightening, life-changing, life-transforming. I would recommend it for everyone.
I signed up for something way more than I bargained for. And you guys are just amazing. We have to go back to being children, so let's live longer and have a better life.
A lot of knowledge, and I feel that, this is the foundation that every child should have. Every child should have this foundation. And just imagine if we knew these things when we were kids, you know, what amazing things we could have done.
And for me personally, that's why I know I wanted to do this, because I had my own inner child to heal. For me, I feel like I've achieved more in the last 4 months, professionally and personally. SunKidz has really done that for me, and I agree so much when Trudy was saying, you know, it's the one thing that grounds you. I keep going back to the routine.
It's really helped me with realizing I'm not stupid. It's really shone a light on the gifts that I do have, which are that I'm, you know, incredibly creative and I've got a great imagination. It's really pulled me together with my kids. Like, it's just been awesome. It's just been an amazing experience. So I thank you.
Sure, like Helen also, it's been so intense and such a journey that I don't think you can put it all in words, but certainly has done so much for me. I've, you know, learned to stand in my truth.
I was just happy to be part of the course because I wasn't sure if I will be able to make it. I want to go on and bring this, these abilities more into life, more into the German part.
So please just follow the links, click whatever you need to, check it out. I think it's just an amazing opportunity, especially in light of the kids. You know, there's been so much trauma around the kids and what's been happening with the kids right under our noses, right under our very schnozzles, as we've sat here watching TV for decade after decade after decade, you know. And what this really does is it gets kids into their power and their energy. You know, everything is energy, everything. Yeah. And there's nothing new age about this, guys. I've been accused about being new age. And I got to say, if there's anything that pushes my buttons, it's that, because there's so nothing new age about yoga. Yoga has been around for the last 5,000 to 7,000 years. They found rock paintings all over India, dating back 5,000 plus years, when the yogis used to go and practice in the wild with nature, with the animals. So all of yoga comes from that, you know, and just the practices of yoga. So honestly, we work with the most ancient principles. And what we've really just done is put it into a modernized version of what people can understand. So it's understanding that when you are aligned with God or your source or your divine creator, whatever you choose to call it, then you're in tune with the voice of God. And when you're in tune with the voice of God, you're in the right place at the right time, your frequency is high, and this kind of nonsense does not happen to children and adults and stuff like that, because we are connected. It's like a tree that is rooted in and connected. So that's really why, especially now, we've sped up this process and created the teacher training. We've got our facilitators out there. They're already training the kids. I'm already doing online Zoom workshops with the kiddies. So there's also one, I think, on the 26th of March or something coming up. Again, we'll put that in the link so you can know when our next, if you've got kiddies, anything from the age of 6 till I think 13, we take in these groups that would like to join us for our Zoom SunKidz workshop. The information will be there as well. And secondly, we are starting a sort of a community advertising. So if anyone has a business or a service in line with 5th dimensional awareness, and that you would like to advertise on our channel, we are putting that out there now as well. So it's really to support each other with businesses, services that are in line with anything that is natural, healthy, healing. It's hard to say what it is, but you will know. We know we don't want anything chemicals. It can't have been tested on animals, anything to do with that. So please let us know as well if you'd be interested on advertising your product or your service on our channels, and we would definitely give you more information. So now that I've said my say, Brice, I would love to chat with you about what our Wellness Wednesday is about today. And I know we're going to start with the 3 elements of Ayurveda, and I love Ayurveda. And for those of you who don't know, Ayurveda is really the sister science of yoga. It is the natural, it is preventative healing, because the ancient yogis believed that health is prevention rather than cure. So we work with ways of keeping the body in alignment, in tune. Everybody is unique. Everybody is individual, and therefore when we do things in accordance with what is right for us as individuals, then we don't have ailments and illnesses and stuff. And just FYI, Ayurveda, anything naturopathy, homeopathy, all these natural remedies and sciences, if you will, are all stemming from Ayurveda, which is coming from the ancient yogis and call it Indians. Yeah. But I would love to hear more from you and what you have to say on that. And I will certainly be chiming in where I would like to ask questions or ask for expansion, or just give a little bit of something.
Ayurveda changed yoga changed my life, but Ayurveda came into my life after the practice of yoga. And it really came into my life full force in my first trip to India. And it is something that always amazes me. Patanjali, who wrote the Yoga Sutras, also wrote a manual on Ayurveda medicine. And the beautiful thing about these old ancient practices, because that's what they are, they're practices, they base around energy, that the human body, the human spirit, the human being is energy. And so if it's energy, and energy is, you can call it prana, you can call it chi, whatever, it's the same thing. It's this life force that moves through us, and we all have different elements of this life force. Now, one of the first videos we ever did together, Shanti, was over the dosha.
Can I just say as well, just sorry to chime in, what I want to say is in Egypt, the life force is also known as Ra. So when you look at as you say, the prana, the chi, or the Ra, so there's so many, especially when we're looking at this negative forces that have taken all of this good stuff and turned it into something nasty. Please let us remember, and I want to just state this very, very clearly. The negative forces cannot create. Only God or our source creates. What they will do is they will take what God has already created and invert it and turn it oftentimes into something so disgusting. So when the word Ra is spoken, it really is the Egyptian word of God. It's the God force. It's the God force that flows through you, not some dark demonic force that the Kabbalah has made most people believe in the West. Is this evil thing. Anyway, I didn't want to interrupt you.
They don't want the evil people don't want us to understand ourselves, because it keeps us disempowered. And absolutely, I'm so glad you brought that up, because absolutely. And one thing, I was teaching some women some chants the other night. We were talking about the mudra of chanting. And so like you see people do this when they chant, but that's not the correct mudra. It's this. It's an opening. Because you can feel it. You can feel the if you just sit there, even if you pull your hands apart and just really focus, you can feel your own energy moving through your hands. That's your life force. It's like when you if you've ever known somebody in life, and then after they've left the earth, they've exited, you see their body, it doesn't look the same, because that life force has now left the building. It's going to a new vehicle at this point. And so that's what we're dealing with Ayurveda. And it takes the body and it brings it into your own understanding of your own awareness, and the things that happen to your body, the sicknesses, the imbalances. It's not something that's foreign, that's just out of your control. It's something that you've either caused by your consciousness, and so therefore you need to fix it, or it's something that you can, if that makes sense. Like, I know, Chantelle, you talk about this a lot. It's a part of your own energetic awareness. And the thing about Ayurveda and the thing about yoga in general, the one thing we have to remember is Ayurveda is an ongoing practice, just like yoga, because Prakriti nature has a birth, a life, and a death. And so therefore it's always shifting and changing. So it's not like you can just go take one Ayurvedic oil bath and then wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, everything's fixed. It's a constant self check-in. Same as yoga. It's a constantly self-checking in on your energy flow. And so that for me, now I will tell you guys, so for many years in my early to mid 30s, I was struggling hardcore with arthritis. Now my dosha is Vata Pitta, so that is a common imbalance for Vata because we're very dry. I know you're Vata Pitta as well, Chantelle, but for me in my early 30s and early to mid 30s, I was waking up to the point where I had a hard time getting out of bed in the morning. Like I was like an 80-year-old woman. My body had gotten so beaten up, and I had tried going on all these different medications, all this stuff, and what actually got me off the medications was the lockdown, which after that, everything shifted and I haven't had a flare up since. But one thing that also helped me was the dosha diet. That's one part which we'll get into, because the 3 elements of Ayurveda are breath, vibration, and food. And we've on the other channel, Aquarius Rising Africa, one of the first episodes we did was over the doshas. And so if you're, and I can't diagnose you because I'm just talking about Ayurveda from my own personal experience. I'm trained and authorized in yoga, but Ayurveda, it's just my own personal experience. This is what I know. Yeah. Now for Vata, for me as a Vata, as a leading dosha, that is what gets out of alignment for me a lot. Vata is cerebral. Vata is air. It's dry. So, so mostly I crave foods that are Vata foods, dry foods, but that's not what I need to be eating. I need to eat more kapha-based foods, more rooted vegetables, because cerebral's coming up, right? It's like you're going up in this air. So in order to bring it back down into balance, I need heavily cooked rooted vegetables, which is the kapha food, to balance it. And when I learned that, it was like, oh my God, like this whole time in the Western world, we've been taught if you crave something, you should eat it. But Ayurveda is saying, not so simple, not so simple. If you are craving like dry toast, if I could eat what I wanted in the morning, I would eat dry toast with jelly. That would be it. But as a Vata, that's like the worst thing for me because it's dry. And so it's feeding into that air element. So I have to eat like warm oatmeal, right? Like apples. And a raw apple for me will send me my stomach into intense pain because apple's Vata and I'm Vata. So my body is like too much, doesn't know what to do with it. So I can eat apples that have to be cooked, right? And so it's like using food almost as magic. Like you're actually using the elements of food to balance.
Food is your medicine.
It is your
medicine.
That's
what we say. Food is your medicine. Yeah.
And when I feel like, because I do struggle with anxiety, and when I do feel that anxiety creeping up, one of the things I do now is make sure I'm following a kapha diet to pull it back down, to use that energy to kind of bring me back down into my body. Now, if you're kapha, you might need more of a Vata diet. So it's kind of, and to really understand, Chantelle, are you able to diagnose people with their doshas? Do you have that ability to tell people what dosha they are?
I don't do that. No, it would be amazing. No, I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Yeah.
So I'm usually able to, as a Mysore teacher, I would always kind of feel out. I kind of feel what my student was, because that also informs me as a teacher is how I'm going to teach that student. So if I have a student like me who's Vata Pitta and I know they struggle with anxiety, I'm going to come at them a little bit softer than someone who's like a Kapha Pitta, right? Because the Kapha person is going to need somebody to like yell at them to like get them to move. But the Vata person, because
they're slower moving.
Yes.
They're slower moving, and it's like the tree element.
Yes. The Vata person's already, nerves are going to be propensity to be shattered. So it's more of a pullback approach. But if you guys, for that, if you want, I would suggest seeing an Ayurvedic practitioner. They'll look at your eyes, they'll look at your tongue, they'll ask you questions about how you sleep, they'll look at your body. Like I'm very bony, that's Vata. And then they can help you from there. So that's the food element. But one thing I really wanted to focus on too is the vibration. So when you first look at Ayurveda, the idea of vibration, we think about with yoga, with the East, we think about chanting. And I am a huge chanter in my quiet, private time. Chanting has changed my life. There's something very special about the Sanskrit language. It's very holy, and that's vibrational. And, you know, in the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali gives the name for God as Om. Om, that's what you see, the Om sign. And the reason why he gives God the name Om is because with that vibration of Om that you feel in your lips, there's no beginning, middle, or end. It's just consistent. And so that's one of the first things people learn how to chant is Om, so they can actually feel the presence of that vibration running throughout their DNA, throughout their body. That's why Patanjali says
it's the most, yeah, it's the most ancient of all the mantras. And it is said, I've heard it being said that the universe was created from sound, and the sound was the vibration of the Om, which is the most complete of all the vibrations. It is beautiful. I mean, just to listen, I have a couple of used to be CDs, they're not CDs anymore, don't use them anymore, but CDs anyway, but the monks chanting the Om over and over and over. My word, it is so beautiful, just the sound of the Om. Yeah.
Yeah, I often tell people, like, if you're just going to start like a meditation practice, sit for 5 minutes and just chant Om over and over and over again by yourself for 5 minutes and just see how that makes you feel. And when you start to understand how important vibration is, you know, so we think about our words, like for in Ashtanga yoga, we always call the postures by their Sanskrit name. So we never use English, and that's because that Sanskrit holds power. It's part of the penetration with the vibration into the healing alchemy of, like, Utkatasana has a power behind it. You know, Virabhadrasana, Garbhapindasana, like there's a vibrational element there that comes from Ayurveda that starts to happen before the action of the posture is even taken. You know, even the student doesn't even realize it. And I will tell you, so we have to take these intense like chanting classes in India. And there's one really long Ganesha chant that every time we do it, I have it in my book somewhere, every time we do it, it's a long one. I start sweating profusely and I want to run out of the room. So I'm telling you guys, there's elements that, and so that tells me as a student in my experience that, ooh, this is the chant I need to be doing. This is where the good stuff. If I'm reacting this way to this chant, something's moving, and my body's not comfortable with it. But that's the uncomfortableness is where the good stuff is and where healing happens. So it's very powerful. But if we look at that from, so if you're not a yoga practitioner and you're not really interested in that, then we look at the element of which you can practice Ayurveda and be involved in Ayurvedic healing and not ever practice yoga. The two are not exclusive to each other. They can be exclusive by themselves. But start thinking about the words you say. That holds a vibration. We know spelling is spell casting. So what are you saying to yourself? What words are you saying to yourself that are causing a vibrational change in your body and in your mind? Because it doesn't, good or bad, it's going to have a reaction. So why not make sure it's a positive one? There was, people showed plants. You can find these pictures of experiments they did with plants where one group of plants, they spoke nasty to the plants and the other groups, they spoke loving to. And you can see the actual difference in a plant, and that's a plant. Think about you.
You know what we do in the SunKidz, and it's just actually part of one of the activities in the SunKidz teacher training is now, you know, also, gosh, what's his name? Masaru Emoto, the Japanese guy that wrote the book, The Hidden Messages in Water, and exactly what you're saying, took water samples from different lakes and oceans and things all over the world, froze them, and with a high-speed camera took pictures of the water crystals. It was insane, the different shapes of the crystals from the different lakes. If it was a gunky lake, the nasty crystal shapes. If it's a beautiful lake, beautiful, all of that. What we did as well was took rice, normal rice, put it in bottles and jars. I love you. And the other one was just ignored. Do you know that within a few days, the one that was ignored was starting to go moldy and gunky, and the I love you one stayed beautiful and fresh and clear. So just in something like that, and of course, the same thing what I was saying about the water, same thing he did with the water crystals. Like, I love you, I hate you, you're awful, or whatever nasty words you could think of. Those water crystals took on those horrible shapes. There was even a little one where he was saying, I'll kill you. And this little thing, the crystal looks like a man with a gun trying to shoot it, or, it took on that shape. It's insane. Wow. So your words hold such power, and your thoughts hold such power. And it is so important what you're saying. And what we're doing with the rice as well is just because obviously that's more visible to the naked eye than to take the pictures, the water crystals, for example. And the plants is a great one as well. Talking to your plants. I mean, my mother's got this magnificent garden. I mean, you must see her garden. The flowers just adore her. They miss her when she's not here. I'm going, okay, I'm watering you. Your mom will be back soon.
Well, I mean, think about your animals. Like, I know you know how to communicate, Shanti, with animals, but like, think about like my dog. My dog knows some English words. He knows what they mean, but not all of them. But he knows when you're speaking kindly to him. His tail wags and he takes his head and like rams it into your legs for you to hug him, and they know fear. They know that they feel the vibration of babies, children that haven't mastered their mother tongue yet, understand the vibration, because we're so much more than just what we see and what we perceive to hear. There's so much happening within the subtle contacts of everything. And that's what Ayurveda is teaching us, is that it's that subtle contacts. And we know, like, even that's why, I haven't listened to the news, the actual TV news, in years now, years. And whenever I'm at a house that has like the news on nonstop, I feel the changes in I feel like my body's getting heavier. I'm getting agitated. All hope feels lost, because this group of people understand this. They understand this stuff. They've known this stuff. They just don't want you to know it.
Operation Mockingbird, when they started, that was this immediate disinformation campaign in the 60s after Kennedy was assassinated, and then they started this conspiracy theorist stuff, and then because people then started questioning, is it Lee Harvey Oswald that shot him? And so of course to deflect, they then started this whole conspiracy theorist nonsense. And then they started what is known as Operation Mockingbird, which is a media disinformation campaign, and literally spreading disinformation through the four main people or organizations that own all the media houses, all the main media houses in the world, and all spreading the same narrative. And it's exactly true, because these guys have understood the power of vibration. They've understood energy. They've understood the negative or the adverse effects of that. And it's exactly what you say, Brice. You go to us, I haven't owned a TV for I don't know how many years. I will not watch TV. I cannot. And even if I come, I mean, there's stuff I watch on YouTube, and not many. You'll be one of those. So the point is, so the point is, we know who we watch, okay? We know who keeps our vibe high. So the point is that when we actually understand how powerful the vibration of the voice is, it is phenomenal. What a difference we can make. And I love that thing that you put on Twitter today. I actually stole it and posted it on Facebook. The pictures of the people, when the photographer told them, it took a picture before, and then the photographer told them how beautiful they are, or you're beautiful, and then the picture after, she said how beautiful they are. Those before and after pictures. It is so incredible. It is so incredible.
Every time I see that, I get emotional, because you see, she takes like almost would look like a passport photo, very serious, and then right after she says you're beautiful, and then she takes another picture to get their response, and it shows you how powerful our words are. you know,
Exactly.
and the thing too, you know, we talk a lot about thoughts and the way that the thought, you know, in the yoga sutras, that's yoga chitta vritti nirodha. So chittam is the mind stuff, it's the brain, it's the functioning, and vritti, those are the thoughts. So it's like dropping a pebble in a lake and seeing the waves roll out, that's the vrittis. And so when we first start to understand vibrations, the first thing we can recognize is kind of like studying the gross body first before diving into the subtle body. The first thing we recognize is the words coming out of our mouth. But before those words have even come out of your mouth, they've already formed in consciousness as a vibration in your brain, in your chittam. And so the first step is saying, okay, I need to change the way I'm speaking. It's like working backwards. And then once you change the way you're speaking over time, what happens? You start to notice these repetitive, self-deprecating thoughts that are creating obstacles, that are creating these like this bondage on you, on your soul, on your consciousness. And so you start to kind of work backwards. And this is not something I haven't mastered this. I don't know many people that have. It's a constant catching yourself. It's a constant self-reflection of what am I doing? What I am. We are all way, way, way more powerful than we know we are. The bad guys know how powerful we are. That's why they try to control the collective consciousness, to get you to think these deprecating thoughts, to create this energy to go towards a certain way they want. But what if you, as a sovereign individual, stepped back and started to understand the power of vibration and freed yourself from that and started to really practice that self-reflection, that pratyahara over your own? It's so powerful. It's so freaking powerful. It was somebody posted on Facebook the other day. I don't know who this person is, but I posted a story about they went into their child's room and their child was like hanging all of their drawings up on the walls. And the mother was like, I'm paraphrasing, the mother was like, why are you hanging your paintings up? And the child said, because my teacher told me I was a really good artist. And the moral of the story was, you never know what you're saying, how it's going to affect somebody. And it's emotional because he was confident in himself because his teacher told him he was a really good artist. And so he wanted to hang all his pictures up now. Like, imagine if we all started to really understand that, like how our words affect, we could turn this ship around like that.
Absolutely.
Bad guys would lose power overnight if we said,
absolutely,
I'm playing this game, I'm going to put my own vibrations out there. And then we start to look at the way these vibrations, because again, something we know, Shanti and I know as yoga practitioners, and I'm sure people who are heavily involved in any type of movement or exercise kind of know this, the body is the mind field. It's the mind field. And so when these vibrations come out of you or form out, either coming out of your mouth or staying in your head, that information, that vibration has to go somewhere. So where does it go? It goes into you.
Absolutely.
It's like they say, forgiving somebody isn't necessarily about them. It's about freeing you.
Absolutely. It really is a freeing of the self. And, you know, when we understand that about forgiveness, we understand that forgiveness is really, and it's a very important concept. So I don't want people to misunderstand what I'm saying now, but it's a man-made word in many ways, because when we haven't understood yet that learner, teacher, learner aspect of life, we understand that our harshest lessons are often taught to us by strongest soulmates or our guides. Why? Because that is our opportunity to expand and grow. So when we are still in the place of blaming and being in a victim mentality, you did this to me, you broke my heart, you did this, you did that. And yes, very much on a third dimensional level, when we're living the human experience, of course, it's horrible to have someone betray you and hurt you and harm you and break your spirit and do terrible things to you. Absolutely. But what we must never forget is that our spirit has chosen that experience long before we came down to earth. We sat and we had a sacred contract with God, with whoever we are having this experience with. And we chose to experience exactly that, because then that's where it comes in. The greatest gift that God has ever given us is free will and choice. So we have the free will and choice to come down here. We have the free will and choice to experience certain things. And then we look at the word karma. So many people say, oh, well, karma will get you. You know, karma really is your own soul knowing that whatever injustice it's created, it will want to rectify that at a certain time. And so whether it's 12 lifetimes ago or 120 lifetimes ago or 12 seconds ago, you know, we can see, and karma is not just bad. We have very good karma too, but people seem to have put karma as this bad, horrible word. So my karmic experience with you, Brice, might be that we betray each other. But then what is the opposite of that betrayal? It's truth.
Yeah.
And that's where Jesus said, the truth shall set you free. So then what is the truth of that betrayal? Let's look for that. And then when we start doing that inner reflection and we start sitting with ourselves and with our creator, we can then go, aha, that's what Brice has shown me. That's where she's been the teacher in my life. That's what this has given me. So if I know that I've already asked you to be that for me, why would I need to forgive you?
Exactly. It's freedom. It's liberation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's a process to get there. And I know not everyone will understand that right now, because I know lots of people are still moving through a certain process. But for those of us who understand that, it is a very liberating thing. Hey, let me tell you, I still get triggered by people, certain things or situations. I'm not going to lie and pretend that I don't. I've often got to sit with myself and hear the echo of my own voice in the room when I'm teaching a group of students and go, but it really is.
I mean, we say that all the time. What the teacher teaches is what the teacher needs to learn. You know, we say that. I laugh about that all the time. You know,
Exactly.
I mean, we say in Ashtanga, we say your karma is your work. Like, that's all it is. It's your work. It's what you have to work through. It's just cause and effect. And the attachment, or good or bad, is your chittam. It's what you attach to a storyline you give yourself. And for sure, you know, it's so funny. Speaking of like betrayal, of course, betrayal is one of the most painful things anybody could ever go through, whether that's from a romantic partner, a parent, a friend. Having that betrayal and that trust broken is devastating. And I don't think we're saying that you have to then go back and totally like forgive and bring that person, you know, you always learn from things, but the thing about it is what the beautiful thing about betrayal too is what I've learned is that for us as human beings, we're always looking for happiness. We're always looking for joy and peace and love outside of ourselves. So what does betrayal teach us? Is that love, that peace, that joy, that's not outside of ourselves. You didn't need that.
The truth is, exactly, the truth is it's within. And as long as we're not giving it to ourselves and nurturing ourselves and showing ourselves that self-love and self-appreciation, we're always going to look outside. And that is where the betrayal lies, right?
Yeah, I had a friend betray me about 3 months ago, and it was painful. But now I've forgiven him because it showed me that, it reminded me that I am whole within myself. And that pain wasn't, you know, it was reminding me that, you know what, I'm okay within myself. Like, I am unbounded love. It's like Ram Dass, you know, he always quoted the Hanuman, when I don't know who I am, I serve you. When I know who I am you. I am loving awareness. That's all I am, is loving. That's all any of us are, is loving awareness. Everything else is just lessons to remind you. It's like, I've been quoting you a lot, Shanti, about what you say, like, we came here to learn, but we are not. We are not the betrayal. We are not the pain. We are not the hurt. We are loving awareness.
Exactly.
But the pain, the betrayal, the hurt, all these obstacles of the chittam, all these things remind us that we are loving awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a freaking power move. Plot twist, my friends. Like, when you can actually sit there and say, I'm good. Thank you for reminding me of that I am loving awareness.
I love that. Absolutely.
I
because when we, sorry?
I was going to say, I want my friend Liz to make a t-shirt that says, my power move is the plot twist. Like, I am loving awareness. So
it is loving awareness. And it really is, the pain, the sadness, the suffering, it is not who we are. We all got caught up in that. And it's part of our experience on earth, because through that contrast of understanding what we're not and who we're not, we get to know and recall and remember and reclaim who we truly are. And that is loving awareness and true consciousness and loving consciousness and just to be, just is.
I mean, it goes deeper too, because you start to understand, like, when you can reflect that within yourself, you start to see that in other people too. And with my example with my friend who betrayed me, like, when I was able to like forgive him for that, I was able to see like, oh, there's something in him that's hurting as well. That's why this action happened. And then that empathy and compassion comes in. And all of a sudden, this situation that seems gross and awful and nasty becomes, it's like you say, it's the alchemy of taking the heavy lead and turning it into gold. And that's so beautiful. And the fact that human beings have that power to do that, and it's not some great big ritual you do around a cauldron with lights going. It's literally you just sitting and having this moment
of bubble, toil and trouble. No.
Like, you could literally be sitting, what is it? Somebody said, like, when that prativa happens, that flash of illumination, you could be sitting on the toilet when that happens. Like, it doesn't pick and choose when it's gonna come.
Mine usually happens in the shower. Those great, big, beautiful eureka moments, I'll generally get them in the shower, which is so cool. And I want to just jump out of there and run and do things.
Mine usually happen to me when I'm like at the hardest part of my practice, when I'm really feeling those self-deprecating thoughts. I'll have that prativa moment of like elimination. We're like,
lucky you.
I always say, like, I never want people to watch me like exercise because I'm so sweaty and my hair looks like Albert Einstein's hair because it's so humid. It's not cute. And I practice so early in the morning that half the time my pants are on inside out. Nothing matches, but you always have these like grand ideas of how enlightenment's going to hit you. You're going to be like sitting on a mountain, like in a beautiful gown, and it's going to like come in. No, it normally happens to you when you're like at your most gross, like vulnerable, like.
Exactly.
Because God has a sense of humor, my friends. God has a sense of humor. So
God created the sense of humor. Let's never forget that.
I mean, I have a friend that gets downloads every time she pees. Like, one of my friends goes and pees, and that's when she gets downloads, is when she's peeing. So it's never how you expect it to be. It's always like in the least attractive moments that you have this like moment of understanding,
exactly.
and deeper understanding. And a lot of that too is the when we start to understand this too, is also the shedding of the ego or the false sense of self. Because once that happens, Ram Dass, I was listening to one of his lectures about this the other day, about finding the nobody, not finding the somebody, but finding the nobody within, being able to understand that each incarnation you have is just a role you're playing. It's just a role. It's not. Absolutely. So then if you understand that, you're like, oh, then I'm not really Brice. I'm not really, this is just a role. I'm loving it. What am I really? I'm actually just loving awareness. Loving awareness that's expressing itself in a physical form right now to remind myself.
Expressing myself as X, Y, and Z. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that, guys, it's such a power move when you actually understand that. That's the beauty of Ayurveda. Now, if you're able to mix the Ayurveda and the yoga, because they are sisters of each other, then it starts to really become one thing I was listening to another YouTube that I love called Yoga Ruins Your Life by Richard Freeman. It's just like 5 minutes. He talks about how what yoga does too is it brings you to this point, and Ayurveda as well, when you start to understand this, where you're not so attached to the fantastical, because you realize, I'm paraphrasing, you realize that this isn't outside of you. All this stuff is never outside of you. It's always in you. It's always within.
Absolutely.
And that's so powerful. It's so powerful. I mean, Jesus said
absolutely
that.
Is.
The kingdom of heaven and hell are inside of you. That's inside of you. You can find heaven on earth. The Gospel of Thomas, one of the banned books, talks about finding heaven on earth. They're not talking about going and searching for some land. They're talking about within you.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
where that heaven lies. And you don't need anybody, because you have that spark of, when you are aligned with that, that's that vibrate, starting with the Om, that spark of life, and that's your anointing. It's and the breath, the third element of Ayurveda is pranayama, is the breathing, which what have they tried to take away from us for a few years now?
I can't breathe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's that breath. Now, we all know the value of oxygen coming to the brain. Like, we know that our body needs the oxygen. We know that for children, so we know that stuff. But when you think about the breath, like, even in, we know, Shanti and I know that, like, the locks, the mudras of the body, which you study in yoga, the bandhas, those are, even though it's the pulling in of the anatomy of the stomach, the abdomen, the pulling up of the perineum, are locking in the chin for pranayama practice. Even though it appears to be physical, it's not. It's associated with pranayama, with the breath work. The breath is so freaking powerful. It's when you were born, when every single one of us came into this world, whether naturally or through a cesarean section, when you took that first breath outside of your mother's body, the doctor didn't give you that breath. Your parents did not give you that breath. Source, divine creation, looked at you and you alone and breathed that life into you. That was
Absolutely.
An anointment. And that is the biggest indicator that you don't need a priest or a rabbi, because God anointed you.
You, exactly.
You alone. You have that connection with.
It's your birthright. It's your birthright.
It is your
It's
birthright.
your birthright.
And we know
if you are breathing and your heart is beating, it is your birthright to live. It is your birthright to create the life that you and God have had a sacred agreement with, because you are one with your creator. Exactly. So you are an expression of your creator. You are that, and that is that breath that has anointed you to be the expression of God in this particular form that is unique to you and you and you and you and only you, and no one else has the same. And it's beautiful, because we spoke a little bit last time about the God is the sun and we are the rays. And another way that I also love to look at it is that we can see God as a giant puzzle, and each and every one of us is a piece of that puzzle that makes up the Holy Divine. And if one piece of that puzzle is missing, it is not complete.
Yeah.
And if you are that missing piece, it is incomplete. And that's how important each of us are. I mean, I remember as a kid building a puzzle, and if one piece, if you get to the end of the puzzle and one piece is missing, my world was shattered, because then it was not finished and then it was not complete. And I was super disappointed about that. I don't know why, if I'm the only one who had that experience, but I remember when I was building a puzzle and there was a piece or two or three or five, even one piece missing, it was very frustrating and very disappointing. The puzzle was not finished. So that's the way I see it. You are a piece of that divine puzzle. And if one piece is not missing, if you are not there, God is not complete.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the way I see it.
Yeah, and that's what they don't want you to know. I mean, yeah, even in the Bible, it says God breathed life into man and man stood up. The government didn't breathe that life into you. God did. God did. No. So
I would say, exactly. And let's just look at Jesus. I mean, I'm crazy about Jesus. I think Jesus is one of the most awesome men, human beings that ever walked this planet, right? And I mean, let's look at the true essence of Jesus. If Jesus was around walking amongst us right now, do you seriously think Jesus would be taking this and walking around with a muzzle? I don't think so. Jesus would have faith in his body, in the divine Christ consciousness flowing through them. the Christos, the Christ energy that flows through each and every one of us. Let us never forget that. Let us never forget we all have that Christos flowing through us. And most of us have believed that we are not worthy of that. So we give that power away and we make someone else our savior and the one that's going to save us all. No, never, never, never. That, and it's exactly what you say, Brice. The minute we came out of our mom's womb and took that first breath, that was God saying, go and live, my child. Go and live. And that's your divine anointing. Yeah.
Yes, that is your, and that's why it drives me crazy. Like I always tell people, your relationship with source is your relationship. Nobody should be involved in that but you. And I'm like, point in case, when you were born, God breathed with you. It was a sacred moment between you and source. And that moment where you take your last breath, who's the one that's sitting there waiting to take you back home again? The person that gave you the life to be. It's interesting in India, here in the West, we say like, oh, God knows the amount of days you're going to live, right? God knows your plan. When it's time for you to go, you'll go. Well, in India, they have a saying that, no, it's not the days you live, it's how many breaths you take. You have a certain amount of breaths to take in your life.
Exactly. Not your days are numbered, probably your breath.
Your breath. Yeah. And that's what pranayama means. Pranayama, for those who don't know what that means, that's basically breathing exercises. But prana, if you break it down, prana is life force and yama is extension. So it means extending your life's capacity.
Yeah.
With breath.
Exactly.
And you start to work, the deeper you get into the pranayamas, you get into this idea of the kundalini, like you start to be able to pull the stomach in and really use the sharpness of the muscles, which carry information as well, to pull up with the breath, to unleash this information. And it's not necessarily information like, oh, this is who I need to be. No, it's more of a divine information of loving awareness, of just.
And that's within you. It's stored within the cells of your body. And that breath, that kundalini awakens it, because every little cell is like a little universe inside of you. And the breath awakens that. And it's just like everything, I think that's where we talk about everything is within you. So the breath awakens that. And, everyone who's done pranayama or done extensive breath work will understand that feeling of that heightened awareness, that heightened sense of liberation, of peace, of energy, and when we have energy that we know comes from the divine, that divine breath, we feel invincible.
I mean, even so in Ashtanga Yoga, we always start our practice up with the Surya Namaskar, the sun salutations. Well, Surya is prana. The sun is all prana. Upward rising energy is always recognized by the sun, where Apana is the moon. Namaskar is just a greeting. So all you're doing in the sun salutations is you're waking up that prana. You're waking up the body in order to then take on the rest of your practice. And you see that. So if prana is also associated with oxygen, the breathing element of Ayurveda, when you get the heart pumping, you feel the oxygen moving with the blood around your body, and your blood, as we know, is your sacred DNA. And so there's this beautiful, it's like I was talking to my friend this morning, and we've talked about this, Shanti, the way that I view even exercise now, regardless of whether it's yoga or a bar class or whatever it is, I don't view exercise now the way I used to as something that I need to do to punish myself to get into a skinny pair of jeans. When I'm in my practice now, or doing a bar class and I'm contracting my stomach and intentionally moving my pelvis, my thought is now getting that blood, that oxygen into that area of the body. And so things can get unstuck. So things can move. So things can be express themselves and can give me information. Again, this isn't information for me to go out and be like this person. It's really just information for me to be me, to understand the root of loving awareness, of the silence, of the yoga chittam vritti nirodha, the information released. And it's somebody emailed me a while ago, and I still need to look for this book. Apparently one of the missing books of the Bible is Jesus teaching his disciples physical movement, which doesn't surprise me at all. Because we know a lot of these
not at all.
Doesn't surprise me. A lot of these old religions or belief systems are based around the body moving, because that body movement releases your prana. your life force, in your experience. It's what helps you understand everything in your life is an experience for you to grow even more. And that is so, so, so powerful. Toning my muscles now has nothing to do with looking good in a bathing suit. That could be an added bonus, but no, it's about really finding out what is in there. What's in those solar plexus? That's the sun at the what's there. So it's just a different way of perceiving yourself. Everybody is so beautiful and has their own information in their body. And Ayurveda is a way to start to take that journey to who you really are. It's never ending. Now, again, if you're having an appendicitis, you probably want to go to someone that can help you. But you know, Ayurveda is definitely preventative. You get into like different mushrooms you can use with the food, the different, I know we've gone on a very philosophical practice, but I went and grabbed this, and guys, there's also different cleansing habits you can do with Ayurveda as well that helps with this too. I know we talked about oil baths last time, which is one of my favorite things to do is an oil bath. But something I do every single night to help with balancing of the physical body is what's called tongue scraping. Do you tongue scrape, Chantelle? Do you do that?
Yep, definitely.
I went and got mine, and I promise you guys it's clean. I clean it every time. This is what a tongue scraper looks like. All right. I'm not going to do it on camera because I would probably make people vomit. And I'm going to tell you guys, if you do tongue scraping, don't do it in front of your romantic partner. Just don't. I don't care if you've been married to your husband for like 30 years. It's like going to the bathroom in front of your partner. Don't do it. Keep some things mysteries.
Yeah, some things are meant for you and you alone. I agree.
This is a very independent, this is for you, and this is only you, okay? Some of you might get your pratibha, little tongue scraping. And so this is a tongue scraper. You can find them anywhere. Clean it after you use it. I use mine every single night. I use it at night. And you stick this sucker at the back of your throat and pull down on the tongue.
Yeah.
You're gonna see some stuff that comes off that tongue.
Not a pretty sight. Because of course we know that the tongue is where most of the toxins are stored in the mouth, right?
Yeah.
So.
And think about that. We talked about the vibration of speaking. Well, the tongue is one of the strongest muscles in the world, and so this is that gross body cleansing of that. And I do it like 2 or 3 times before I brush my teeth, floss and brush my teeth. I shut the door, like do not let anybody see you do this, and then clean this after you're done. Clean it. Don't just put it up. Clean it. So this is my tongue scraper. You can find them anywhere really, but this is a great easy thing to do if you're new to the Ayurvedic practices, because it doesn't take a lot of skill to stick this in the back of your tongue and pull. It's going to touch your tongue and it's going to pull down, and you're going to see it. Yeah, you're going to see everything come off the tongue.
Not too hard. You don't want to hurt your tongue.
No.
I've also definitely in the past, especially when I began, I did it too hard, and you don't want to make your tongue raw.
Yeah.
That I definitely do at night. Scrape the gunk off a couple of times, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the first time I ever shaved my legs by myself when I was at the appropriate age. I pressed the razor down really hard and I like scraped my leg. So yeah, we learn from our mistakes though. We learn. So yeah, tongue scraping is super easy. Now I know you do oil pulling, don't you, Shanti? That's something I don't do, oil pulling.
I do that in the morning. Yes, I've been doing oil pulling for many, many years now. I love it. It is my thing to do. And that's why I don't do tongue scraping in the morning. I'll do that at night, but I do oil pulling. And that is really, you put a tablespoon or 2, whatever size is comfortable in your mouth, and you literally swirl the oil around in your mouth for something like between 10 and 20 minutes. I go like 20 minutes. And the ancients, the yogis used to use sesame oil. But I know a lot of people right now using coconut oil, but as long as it's like a extra virgin type oil, I use, if you like olive oil, I don't like the taste of it, it's too bitter in my mouth, but anything like that. What I also use is macadamia nut oil, which I like, and even avocado oil, different types of oil. I like to experiment with stuff. And you literally swirl it in your mouth for, as I said, anything between 10 to 20 minutes. It is amazing because what it does is all the sinuses, it draws out all the gunky stuff from and that's why when we wake up in the morning with bad breath usually, because the toxins come, they raise to the surface, rise to the surface, and especially in the mouth as well. So that's why the first thing before you eat or drink anything, you oil pour. And that takes and also cleans out any little bits of the teeth, very good for the gums, draws out anything, remineralizes the teeth as well, very good for the teeth, whitens the teeth, removes stains, stuff like that, gets rid of all that sinusy, gunky stuff. And then what you do is, if you're using coconut oil, you do not want to be putting it down the drain, especially if you're in a colder climate, because it will coagulate, because it goes hard, then it'll block your drain. What I do, I've got because I'm in a sea sandy area, I just dig a little hole and I then spit it in there. And then immediately after that, I use my neti pot, which is also a Ayurvedic practice. So it's my neti pot. I should have brought that, but it's not yet. It's over there now. But you use pink salt, the Himalayan. So maybe like at 500 mils, you use a teaspoon of the Himalayan in boiled water, clear water, whatever, and then you put it up your nose and you cleanse your nostrils, because also the sinuses are the body's first form of defense.
Yeah.
So then you neti pot, you clear out the nostrils, any bacteria, any stuff will clear it out, dries up whatever it needs to dry up. And then I'll also just rinse my mouth with the salty water after that. That for me, and then I'll have lemon water.
I do that too in the morning as well.
Squeeze lemon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grate a thumb of ginger, put it in there, and then after that, my internet is unstable now, it's telling me, so.
They don't want us to.
But then I don't.
Secrets.
Cool.
They don't want us to empower.
I don't. Yeah, exactly. I don't like to practice yoga with anything in my stomach, especially not in the morning. So I like to do a morning yoga practice. So then after that, I'll generally go and do yoga. And then after my practice, I'll have my lemon water. And then you shouldn't really drink any or eat anything for at least a half an hour to an hour after that, other than normal water, because lemon juice on its own balances the pH in the body. But the minute you mix it with something, it becomes acidic. So then your body can become too acidic. And that's why first thing in the morning, and I make about 500 mils. So I'll have like 500 mils of, which is half a liter. I don't know what you guys call that, but half a liter of lemon water. And that's how I start my day. And honestly, when we start our day in a positive way as well, but before that, I've generally had my meditation. I've sat and I feed my animals. I'm in a good space. I feed my birds outside. I just like to start the day being grateful, and that sort of stuff.
When you feel totally, better, better. Yeah. And the one thing that I love the most, I don't know if you do.
Dry brushing.
Yes. This is my favorite things to do, guys. It's if you don't, and you might think this is weird if you haven't, but this is it stimulates the skin. You literally like brush your body
before you shower, guys. Before you shower on a dry skin, right? I love it. Dry brushing. Yeah.
Yep. And you can actually find this is an actual dry. It's been used a lot. You can tell this is an actual dry brush for Ayurvedic purposes, and it makes your skin very soft.
And it must be natural bristle, not plastic bristle. So it must be of a natural bristle. I think that looks like a natural bristle. So that would be the right
it's
one.
Old. Yeah, this is an old one I've had for a while. Yeah, it's from this is, you can find all this stuff in like any Ayurvedic shop, or talk to an Ayurvedic user and they can give you the best stuff for this. And it feels good too to do it. So
it's yummy. I love it.
We were never taught to brush our bodies in the Western world, but it stimulates so much. And we know that fascia holds a lot of information. And so just getting in, when you do your yoga practice, you're working from the inside out. Well, now this is the outside in a lot of ways, getting that stimulation.
Absolutely.
And those are just really fun things people can kind of start with that are kind of harmless, that you know, you don't have to be like an expert to there's some like kriyas that you definitely need somebody to help you with it, but these are easy things that
there's some I don't even do, seriously.
no, y'all, there is one where your guru takes like a cloth and like sticks it down your esophagus. I'm like, I don't know who would do that, because it's, you allow them to, and like pulls it back up again. It causes you to vomit, basically, to purge.
Yeah, it does. To get rid of whatever. But what I want to just say about the dry brushing, and just to add to that as well, why dry brushing is so good is because, again, you know, you've got to clear the lymph. So when our lymph is clear and moving, then we also have much less diseases. And guys, these sound like little things that don't make a difference, but when you are regular in this practice, this is how you help your body. So when you're doing this every day, you're actually clearing your lymph. So with the dry brushing as well, and also you got to brush in a certain direction to the heart where your lymph is cleared. You're just taking off the dry skin cells as well. It tones the skin. Your skin feels delicious. It's like a baby skin afterwards. And it clears the lymph. It stimulates collagen in the body as well. It is really just such a good, and then you have your shower afterwards. So you must do that just before you shower. And also what I do as well is the cupping. I love the cupping.
Oh, I love cupping too.
The cupping, but that's that's not really an Ayurvedic practice. That's more like a Chinese medicinal.
We can talk about that
practice.
Next week with acupuncture and cupping and all that kind of stuff too. That I have had a lot of good experience with cupping and acupuncture, and we could go deeper into that too, because that is so helpful. So helpful.
Yeah,
cupping is
definitely.
Cupping also gives you information about your body that you might not have known when you see those bruises come up. So it's very informative.
It's amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's amazing. So I like to do anything that is natural, that is preventative of illness and ailments, you know. And really, I don't like to talk about age and stuff, but you know, I'm 56. I'm super healthy. My body has, you know, I look after my body. She looks after me. I literally take a few vitamins. Most of the time I forget to take them. But, you know, I eat well, but I also have my moments where I indulge in other things. I'm certainly not anal about anything, but I have a great relationship with my body. We've come a long way, and we had this talk on body dysmorphia a few weeks ago, and it hasn't always been that way. And in my journey as a healer, and understanding how beautiful and how grateful I am for every bone in my body. I mean, gosh, if you stump your pinky toe, that is so painful, right? You know all about it. Yet how many of us actually even give our pinky toe a second thought, right? Yet when any part of your body is in disharmony, you know all about it. So when you take care of your body, and when you can see pain in your body as not being there to crush you or to destroy you, but is there to take you to a deeper level of awareness, we then start talking with the body, and the body starts speaking with us. And we will do the chakras and the stuff at a later stage as well. Definitely. And helping us understand the energy centers in the body and the body parts related to them and the emotions. And we realize then how much our emotions make us sick. But in the meantime, I want you guys just to really go out and love your body. Just appreciate this vehicle that is the harbinger of your spirit. It is your spirit in physical form. And it is the most beautiful vehicle you'll ever possess, the most highly intelligent vehicle you'll ever possess. So when you start making friends with your body, you've got your bestie for life. She is your bestie, or he is your bestie for life. That's
absolutely
sure. You want to treat it that way.
The most powerful instrument you will ever own is your body.
Indeed, absolutely. Yay, Brice! I see the time always runs.
I know, this
the last time I looked at this corner
to talk about besides the macabre. So it's like, I love talking about this stuff. And I would love to hear some of our audience members start doing this stuff, these simple things.
Yes.
Because these little things do make a huge difference. it's the little things every day that add up to the big things that shift you.
Absolutely. So please, if you guys are already doing it, leave it in the comments section. I know I've got a lot of students, past and present, that I've gotten onto this stuff, and it's made such a big difference in their lives, you know, just to have your little ritual with yourself, nurturing yourself, investing in yourself. You are the best investment you will ever make. Really, you are. So this is investment in yourself, because when you invest in yourself, what you put in is what you put out, and therefore what you attract. So when you invest in good in yourself, you're going to attract the right people, the right situations, the right elements into your life. You won't be, no one says you don't have a stressful day or a shitty day. Yes, we do, but we learn how to navigate them differently then. Absolutely. So just make friends with yourself, make friends with your body, make friends with who you are, and take care of yourselves and take care of each other. So yeah, let's be cool, let's be kind, let's be Yoganini.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Brice, it's so wonderful to have you. Beautiful. Thank you so much. We'll see you on Monday again for our catacombs. Yeah.
Yes. Totally different topic. So
absolutely. And then in 2 weeks' time for Wellness Wednesday again, and talking about these lovely, lovely topics. So take care, everybody. God bless you all. And if you haven't already, please give us a like, a share, and a subscribe. Share this wonderful solutions. Just by doing little things like this, you can make such a big difference in your life and those around you. And then this is how we spread the good news out there. And again, for those of you who are interested in doing the SunKidz facilitated training, or if you want to advertise an awesome product on our channel, let us know. We have to support our communities as well. And yeah, take care of yourselves. God bless you all. Thank you. Bye, guys.